too early?
No, it's all right. Come on in. We open at 8. No, I got here early. Come right in.
Just need a little cleaning up, Tom. We're going to a wedding. Where is everybody?
Well, Howard, we don't open till 8.
Oh, I didn't
So
realize.
right now, we'll give you the haircut and
right.
get you out before anyone gets here. So what's been going on? Tell me something.
Well, usual thing. I'm still doing my thing. Involved with the Historical Society and the library and with the barber shop. You know, every time I come here, I sort of rediscover these pictures and remember the time we put them together.
Over 20 years ago.
Is it now 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Good Lord, I can't
Over
believe
20
it.
years ago.
How long have you been here?
I've been here 42 years, Howard, 1959.
Good God.
Well, you were one of my first customers, don't
Yeah.
you remember I told you that?
Oh, I do now. You've seen a good part of Westport come and go with the
Howard,
Westport people.
I love it.
Oh, I know you do. Well, I can tell by what I hear you say to customers here. Everything's pretty straight.
Oh, your pictures, yeah. We work hard at it.
You know,
Little kids go by, you knock them over, we put them
know,
back up.
I put that stickum stuff behind them so they hold a little bit better than they used to. But every time I come here, I'm entranced again to see these backwoods looking in the mirror at them. And, I'd be curious to know whether the new people in town have the same interest that old timers have.
Oh, they sure do. In fact, they always ask me if they could acquire the pictures.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
I tell them, buy the book.
Yeah, that's right.
Nothing wrong with that.
They're all in there. Do fathers point things out, or parents point things out to kids? And
Yes, a few do. You know, I think the newer crowd that come here, you know, they're not as...
yeah, they're probably baffled by these old pictures.
Well, yeah, some of them are just like, where can we get them? Where can we get
Yeah,
them?
but the interesting thing is that a couple of them are buildings that still exist.
Oh, yeah,
And,
sure.
So they can point those out. There's one here, especially with the where used to be the Nash warehouse. That is, yeah, it's right down there.
You talking about this one?
Yeah, Tom, it would be my guess that maybe one of the most interesting pictures to people is the original Staples High School, which is long gone, unhappily, and especially now that Staples is going to be redesigned. God knows what cost. You know, it's going to be a big...
Well, millions,
Yeah.
Howard, millions.
Do people have anything to say about this?
Well, you know, some of the older folks in town, of course, are worried about taxes.
Yeah. Well,
you know, how do we live here?
and rightly so. It's going to look like Duke University one of these days. I hope they get it right.
I guess we do need schools, though, Howard.
Yeah, well, there's never any question about that. Every town this size is having the same problem.
Yeah.
You know, Tom, I just miss going to the old Staples. I moved here in 1935, but the building was still up, and...
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, look at Jim. Hey, look who's here. Jim Feeney. Jim.
Hey, Tom.
How are you, pal?
Howard.
I got two old townies here, all in one shot.
Yeah, I don't want you staring at my bald spot. Just get it the other way.
What I'm really interested in, and not a lot of conversation, I want a haircut. Do you have any time?
Yeah, I can get a haircut.
Okay,
Well, I'll tell you what,
Just
let's hang
wait your
around.
time.
Yeah. No, you can hang around,
Okay.
and I'll do you right after hour.
No, fine.
No big problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Artie.
Okay.
You can see I sure need it.
Yeah. I'm glad he happened to show up this time because he's the man that probably knows more about every picture and every old situation. And
What are you just talking about?
yeah, exactly. And there's one picture here that is one of the prizes of the whole collection, I think. I can see it in the mirror right behind me.
Here it is,
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, that's the one. It's the river shot and
Yeah.
the old furniture places there, the one that's now the hotel.
Well, that picture was, the original picture was taken and I believe it was taken by my grandfather because that's where it was found up in the attic of our old farmhouse on Crescent Road. The boat in the dock there, what they called was a working boat. It was mainly hauling onions into New York City because this was a great onion growing area. Of course, they handled other things than onions.
Yeah.
I don't really know why. Another very interesting thing about that picture, if you'll notice the trolley car.
Oh, in the background, I see the background,
And if
yeah.
you'll notice it's being drawn by a team of horses. I really can't give you a date of that picture, but...
Wasn't your father a blacksmith in town?
Yeah, my grandfather...
Was it your
My grandfather owned...
Well, that should have been about the 1880s, 1890s?
Yeah, probably
Turn of the
in
century.
that. I was born in 1919, so I really don't know. I never knew my grandfather as a blacksmith. Incidentally, I do have a picture of his blacksmith shop here, and it's in, I believe you have a copy.
Yeah, I have it down the other end.
Yeah. And it shows my grandfather standing in front of his blacksmith shop. And the interesting thing about it is the blacksmith shop was right next to the trolley barn, where they kept the trolleys and the horses.
Yeah.
So it was a very easy access for him to shod the horses.
You know, it's always great to see that building through all of the years. And it was condemned or thought to be useless many times. It almost came down a couple of times. Happily, it weathered all of those things, and now is the lovely building that they've made it into.
Well, it's probably how it's been a post office, it's been a bank. It has many.
I remember when there was a thrift shop in it one time. I helped move the old secondhand clothing from there across the street into the new thrift shop.
Well, it was the second floor, I think, or the third floor. They had a gymnasium there.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a gym.
And I think it was the town hall, I think.
I think at one time.
Yeah, at one time, right. I remember when...
There used to be a liquor store downstairs, too.
I remember when it was finally reconditioned to the hotel, that the architect said that every time they took out a stone to repair something, there was another problem behind the stone.
Howard,
Yeah.
that same building,
Yeah.
before it was put up, before they put that building up, there was a sheriff's office there, you know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have a picture down the other end of it, and a post office. It was a post office also.
Oh.
About everything that could have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is that it's been preserved.
Yes. What is it today?
It's a hotel, a very spiffy one, and with a first-class restaurant down on the bottom, and because they've added to it also. One of its big problems was that the foundation goes down into the water, and so that over the years that had deteriorated greatly.
They spent millions
But
on it.
yeah, I hate to think what was spent on it, but it's so happily preserved.
Well, it was a labor of love.
Yeah.
You're on.
You know, we got a great shot of Main Street, Tom, behind Jim there. And it's interesting that the three of us have been around here for a long time. We all have different opinions of Main Street, or rather different recollections of it, and what store used to be where and what business was where and so on. So I consider that one of the really good shots of this collection. And it's, Tom, you must have people talking about it all the time, don't you?
Oh, always. But, you know, there's one picture here that I have a question about. Jim, why don't you come back here with me?
Okay.
And I want you to see the one I'm speaking about. Come here. Here, Jim. Come over here. This is the picture I was talking about. I don't know what year it is. Do you know? Do you have any idea?
Well, I really don't have an idea. Probably in the late 1800s. I could tell by the clothes they're wearing, but I really couldn't tell you for fact. I know many people have asked who this man is. He's probably the principal of the school, but I don't know who was the principal.
Well, I think here, this picture, I think this was about, well, I would say in the late 30s, judging by the car that's here.
Well, I graduated from that school in 1938, and I think it's probably in the late 30s. Yes,
Yeah.
It looks very much like that. But this particular picture, I didn't know. There was something said that you were discussing one time.
Oh yeah, this fellow right here. One of the customers thought it probably could be one of his uncles or a great grandfather of his his uncle. I don't remember which one. So that would take it back to around the late 1800s.
Probably would be, yes. I would find that difficult to trace, but I do genealogy work and autobiographies, but some of the things to do research on some of these things is very, very difficult and very demanding. Yes.
How about these fellows here? Take a look at this. A bunch of dapper Dans here. Look at the way they're dressed. That's got to be what, the late 20s? Would you say about the 20s?
Oh goodness, I would say it was before the 20s. I was born in 1919, and
so you used to dress that way?
We never dressed in the 20s. I never remember seeing anybody dressed like that. I would say it's probably like the Nashes and the Bradleys and people of that they're old-time Westport people. Gold could be in there. I wouldn't really know the people.
How about this? Hart's Pharmacy?
Well, that's Main Street.
Harold?
At the old Westport Herald, I think the original, one of the originals was the Jones family. The Jones family's been here for many years, and they ran the Westport newspaper. It was the only newspaper for, oh gosh, I don't know how many years. And we still have the Westport News.
Hey, Howard, come over here for a moment. What was that story you were telling me about Bedford Junior High and our big boy here, Jim? Remember that?
Oh, yeah, that's where old Jim was a notorious student.
Oh, yeah?
I think he told a story one time about rolling down this hill. He was the last man to roll down that hill. And this, by the way, is, this green has remained, and it's where the Veterans Memorial is, and more important, or as important, is the Doughboy statue, which is down here. And it's the site every year of the Memorial Day, the end of the Memorial Day parade. This is one of the happiest things that ever happened, I think, that got saved.
Oh, yeah, now
And became what it was, right. I think there was a plan at one time, instead of having it, no, I mixed up. I was going to say it was going to be in Gorham Island, but that was a library.
That
So
was a library.
No, how about this one, though? Now, this further down, this building here.
I don't recognize, that's before my time.
Yeah, but this building burned down. This was just before the bridge. If you're coming down the Post Road, you're looking west. Molly Claff's would be right in here now.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
That would be in
And
there.
the river begins right there.
Right there, and then the bridge.
Right. Yeah.
You get into Jessup.
Yeah,
Road, like
well, here's the
5.
bridge here. You see?
Boy, that's a...
Now, there's the building right there that we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is where the library
Yeah.
would be today.
That bridge looks like it's made out of an erector set.
Yeah.
I don't know how anything got to... Oh, and it comes an
And
old
there's
trolley.
the
Heading to Norwalk.
wooden walkways.
Yeah. Jim, do you remember where that trolley emanated from? Did it come down from Bridgeport?
Well, it went all, actually, the trolley went all the way up into New Haven.
Oh, for God.
Yeah.
You're kidding me, the same trolleys?
A day's
Oh,
journey.
no,
They kept on, yeah, and they're the same.
You change trolley cars at
I
various
see.
stations. You changed in Bridgeport, for example, if you were going, and then that Bridgeport trolley would turn around and come back. And the way they did that, it was very difficult because you only had one track.
Oh.
Right across the street where we're standing right now was where the trolley switch used to be. In other words, you could, they ran a kind of a H shape, so that one trolley car, the trolley car coming from Norwalk and one coming from Bridgeport, they had on one track they had a place, so one would stand there, stop there in front of that. In front of it would be the Hawthorne Inn. I'm talking about the
Oh, that's down there. We got a picture of the Hawthorne Inn.
South Compo Road, corner of South Compo, that was one of the switching stations. And one trolley would have to sit there until the other one went through. So it was kind of an interesting way of...
Nice to see no trucks on the post road.
Yeah.
Not a single truck, not a car.
It was quite a...
You take a shot any time of day and night on that bridge now, and nothing but vehicles.
And here's a picture of the bridge now. See what we were just talking about?
Yeah.
It's west looking east. This would be where the library is.
Look at this rickety old thing. It looks like an erector set. And no trucks, nobody else, no pedestrians, no cars, no wagons. That's a great old shot.
Well, it looks like it was elevated, doesn't it? From the... Like there was no roadway. It was
No.
just, this is the road.
Yeah, I guess that is it, yeah.
Like with one way. Two vehicles.
Can you imagine being behind that trolley car with a wagon and having to try to pass it? Maybe when it got off the bridge, it got wider as it...
Well, when did they stop using the trolleys? There's a picture back here on Main Street. There's no trolleys here. Oh, there's one right here.
Here's another trolley, but this seems to be a later model than that rickety old thing we just saw there.
Yeah, but
I guess they changed them well, no, but look at the one coming down Main Street. There are two trolleys. There's one coming down Main Street.
that would be...
To make a right turn, I
Would you
guess.
say that would be in the early 1900s? Because here, this picture of Main Street, looking north, corner, this is where the YMCA is, this is 1920s.
You know, I'd say at least the 20s, and that's old Captain Allen standing there
Yeah,
with his puttees.
George Allen.
His whipcord bridges.
Well, one of the reasons you noticed a great change in the trolley cars, if you recall, they were drawn by horses. Well, when they went to motorize them, so to speak, which was not a gas engine, it was done with electricity.
Yeah.
And the old they had a little bar and a roller that went up and hooked.
There it is, up there,
Yeah.
at the beach.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, yeah.
So one of the interesting things about those connections, how they tied in, when we were kids, we used to trolley car, we pulled them off and stopped the trolley car.
There was a rope that went down
Yeah,
and
right.
just set it back on
And
again.
of course, the trolley car, they didn't have to turn a trolley car around.
No.
It had a front, it
He
had
just
two
took
fronts
his-
and two
he
backs.
took his handle and walked to
He
the other end.
walked to the other end of the trolley car, hooked it in and off he went.
No
He
reverse.
pulled that end down and went over and hooked this one on, and then he went back to it. Okay.
Speaking of trolleys, let's go to the other trolley up here. And this is the beach one.
You know, we were talking about how the trolley cars went from horse-drawn to
Yeah.
mechanized. Well, if you use the term, that's the bar that had like a little roller on it that hooked onto the wires, and that's how they got the power to drive.
This is a gala day down at the beach. I suppose that came from somewhere up in the Post Road and went down Riverside Avenue.
Yeah, went down, and these are the old wooden bathhouses that were destroyed during the storm of
38, wasn't it? Yeah, the hurricane.
Well, you were just talking about horse-drawn as opposed to the electrical ones or the motorized one.
Yeah.
There's a horse-drawn one right there.
Yeah. Well, so then we're going backwards now, because this is older than that.
Oh, yeah, this is way back. This is about, I would say about the 1800s.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's interesting.
About that.
There's not even a shaft on this thing that hooks up with a horse's harness. I don't know how it just...
Very small, too.
Yeah.
What do they sit, 6, 8 people in there?
That had to be the first one. We've looked at several trolleys now. This has to be the earliest.
Well, I don't know, I would assume this man, he seems to have a whip in his hand. I don't know if he walked along.
That's for the dog, for the horse,
No,
not the horse.
I wonder if he ever walked alongside of the horse or actually sat in it, I don't know.
Yeah, but in the meantime, I'm concerned about not having a shaft that
Talked to him.
you know, there usually is a shaft.
is that a way?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, anyway, we got nothing but the straps here, and I should think they'd pull apart. But anyway, it worked for them, and it's not our problem. That's it.
Yeah, over here they're motorized. We didn't need any trolleys. The tracks are still there. I guess they had it.
Yeah, oh, I can remember, as a matter of fact, when the tracks were still there in the late 30s or early 40s, and they pulled them up during the war effort, I think, because you can still see the tracks down around the center of town.
There's still some land in the Riverside Avenue there, down near the station.
Talking about war, this is a pre-Civil War.
Let's play a game, see what we can identify that still is in this picture. It says post office on the corner, and I remember it as a post office. You would too, the both of you. And now it's a stationery store. Jim, you take the next door after that.
Well,
That's the corner.
well, this is where Desi's.
Yeah,
Desi's
that's
Stationery,
right.
And it's been a
Basically,
newsstand.
basically black horse liquor, remember?
Okay, no, but
Today-
there's a bookstore there now.
Yeah, and then there's
And then
Nunzio's store there.
No, but there's a couple of
Cleaners?
restaurants there. There's a,
Oh, Mario's place is
yeah,
right
but before
here.
that, there's another restaurant.
Yeah, there's another restaurant just before Mario's.
Okay, let's continue on down Railroad Avenue. So after Mario's, well, there's an antique shop there now. All these have changed many times over
Yeah.
the years. Mario's is, you know, that certainly has been there forever, and I guess that's a landmark now. Who had Mario's before Mario's? It was another Italian.
Oh, West Tuck. No,
Okay.
it was the West Tuck.
Okay,
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it was
just
a restaurant.
one big
it was a bar,
room.
yeah.
Well,
and
that was
They were
there.
banging out on the piano.
I was there during speakeasy days.
Yeah.
Because I went in there while it was against the law.
Oh, really?
And you went and walked down the alley and went in
The back way.
Yeah, well, and then there's the Depot Liquor now, Phil Strauss's place, and his son
Yeah,
runs.
that's right.
And then a couple of small stores, and then starts the old lumberyard building. I forget what that was called. It goes right to the corner.
Did he sell grain? He sold
Yeah,
grain.
yeah, well,
The grain
Saugus Grain
Grain,
was called.
yeah,
Okay.
Saugus grain.
And now it's been refurbished, as many old buildings have been, into offices. And there's a gallery on the very corner now. And so that's one famous strip here. You know, the thing that pleases me and amazes me with all the restaurants, meaning all of the stoves and all of the cooking and so on, there's never been a big fire there. And everything there is framed. And so
If it
that's
has,
a
it's
treasure.
white, yes.
Yeah, we wiped the whole block
Yeah,
out. How about some pictures over there at that other end?
yeah,
We
yeah,
had-
there's some good ones here.
Show you this one here. This here is the blizzard of 1888.
And with the old bridge again.
Yeah?
And
This is
old-
this is the walkway.
Yeah.
They walked out.
What's
That
that?
was turned over. That was turned over by the winds, the ice.
What is that, a wagon? or
That's
what?
no, that's a walkway. We saw that over in the other picture.
No, we were wondering what that is.
Yes, that's the walkway.
Really, it blew the
Yes,
bridge
it
apart?
just blew the whole bridge
Oh,
apart.
I see.
Yeah.
It was like a covered,
Yeah.
covered bridge?
No, no. That portion there is the rail and the bottom. It just turned it over.
Yeah. Look behind this, up along the ridge there, where there's nothing.
Yeah, the Wright Street building is way up in that end.
It looks much nicer.
Well, since we're in the snowstorm, look at the one above it.
Yeah, that's also the same blizzard. You notice
Can
that
anybody-
well, all those people there live there.
Yeah, I can't figure where that is. Jim, do you know?
Yes, that's right down Main Street. This would be
I would say
where the
Main-
ships is, right there.
Okay.
And all our stores were along here. The gas station, that old gas station used to be right in this area, yeah. Klein's is right in here.
Ronnie's gas station.
Yeah, this is Klein's in here somewhere.
You notice they haven't plowed the road, and I guess they just left
But
it.
they had about 33 inches of snow
Yeah,
one
we
day.
got that, yeah.
And over,
Yeah.
where is it?
Let's see. Well,
That's a picture of Main Street.
it looks to be about the same. era.
Yeah, but
Happily, the snow finally melted, we can see the street. This is Main Street then, isn't it? And the
Yeah.
Y would have been here.
the wine would have been on that side, that's right.
Do you remember anything here? It would be nice to know who had the good sense to come and shoot some of these things, because the pictures all have the same quality.
Whatever happened to that water trough there?
Well, there was something about it either had been given to somebody in Norwalk, or they just took it. It was just considered junk, I guess. And
Well, there was two of them in Westport, wasn't there one across the bridge on?
on Will Road, yeah, and they're quite different. We have a picture of both of them in the collection here. But somebody had that in their garden, and it was discovered some years ago. And
Yeah.
I don't know
In
what
their
the end-
garden?
yeah, what the end of the story is. Look at this picture below it.
Back to the railroad station
yeah.
again.
I think there were two famous wrecks in Sorrento, or is it just the one that I know about?
I only heard of one.
Oh, there's another picture that I've seen that we don't have here.
That was in 1912.
Oh, but there's another shot of the locomotive, which is part of that same thing again. It's unfortunate that the photographer lettered right across it, but at least the period is pinned down here.
I think maybe the other wreck you might be referring to was the one that went across the Norwalk River in South Norwalk.
The locomotive is
That's
on
when-
its side.
When the bridge was open and they just drove right off the tracks into the.
Yeah, that's
Norwalk
nice.
River.
That's nice.
I never did hear anything about casualties or what became of things, but
Where was this at? This was at, I understand, was at the police station?
this,
On the same, on the same
Jessup.
grounds, Jessup Green?
Jessup Road.
Jessup Road?
police station?
In that area, I thought it
No, well, there
was.
was a police station in the town hall, right down at the bottom
No,
here.
where the police station is
It's
today.
now, today, I'm sorry.
The open door in, as I recall it, was on Jessup Road in the vicinity of where the police station is today.
Yeah.
Of course, the police station back before that was down in the basement of the old town
Oh,
hall.
I see.
When
And I think we had 4 policemen in the town.
Yeah, and there was a single cell down there, and when they ripped that out, they threw the bars out just to be discarded. I've got them home, I'm working. Yeah, my metal sculpture.
Great.
Well, look, let's come on down to this one. Look at this gala event. Either of you know what day that might have been? It certainly is a patriotic day, but with all the bunting and the flags.
Well, we were discussing whether it could be Veterans Day or Memorial Day,
Yes.
but then at the same time, you can tell by the trees. If it was Memorial Day, of course, it was early spring before.
Yeah.
I really don't know when it was
Yeah.
done. And it might be just an election, or maybe somebody was coming through town.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of, very nose.
Yeah, but that's,
So I would think that's probably what it was.
you know, since they had a hired photographer to do this, that's clear. He must have made several other shots the same day. It'd be nice to know whatever happened to them.
Now look at that one up there.
Which one, this one?
Yeah.
That might be the oldest one we have. Tom, have any of your customers ever explained what that was? It's P.W. Jones you can read.
Yeah, but it was the First National Bank.
Oh,
I was told this by a fellow that there were two fellas robbing the bank. And this is
That's
supposedly
an
true.
easy-
Wait a minute, this is supposedly
that's
true
an
now.
easy bank
Let
to
me tell you,
rob.
this is supposedly true. They were robbing the bank, and they went there with their rowboat, and they hid there. And then they went and got into the bank. Took them hours to get in. They had to cut their way through. But when they finished, they got out. It was low tide, and they couldn't go anywhere. Yeah, this is supposed to be true. And the sheriff's office was called in. There's two men over there on the boat, you know, on the bank, and they went to investigate. They found out the fellas were robbing the bank. So the story goes.
Yeah, well, that picture is, that's a famous view that's the back of Main Street.
Where Parker Harding now is.
That's Parker Harding Plaza, yeah.
And so the
fill.
landfill, when did that landfill happen? It was in the 50s, wasn't it?
No,
Yes.
before that. Just before that, wasn't it?
I think in the 50s.
Yeah.
I have reason to
They
think it was
kept
in
on,
the 50s.
they kept on throwing
Yeah,
fill
well,
in there.
I often wondered, I had moved to New York City for the 5 years then, and I never did know where they got all the fill to make Parker Harding. Do you remember that? Because that had to
Well, all I know, Paul Kowalski did it, and he was the general contractor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary Kowalski took a lot of pictures of that, and she has them.
Can you imagine how much fill it took to do that?
Yeah,
So Parker Harding, I think, comes right out to here now. And I remember, if you went back in the gas station, it was up here, there was a road right here, just wide enough for a car. You could go down a couple, there was a woman named Florence Dana had a dress shop, and I remember she had an old Chevy, and she could put her car there and she'd have to back out again.
Well, you know, just before the Remarkable Bookshop, there used to be a little tailor there.
Yeah.
It was an Italian fellow, and he used to wear his boots.
Mandy with it?
He used to wear his boots. And we asked him, well, what are you wearing your boots for all the time? He says, well, he says, when it rains, he says, it floods in here, I walk, I don't care. He says, I got to keep business going. That's what he said.
But that, when you think back, back in the years, all of the buildings, there was no sewerage in those days, and all the sewage was dumped right into the Saugatuck River.
Okay, by the way, that other water trough we talked about is on the other wall.
Yeah, it's right down there.
Where is it, Tom?
Right here at this side of the...
Oh, yeah, there it is. That's Wilton Road. Okay, we're on the corner of Wilton Road and the Post Road again. And
That was the
And there it
second
is.
water trough you're talking about.
yeah, there doesn't seem to be any sidewalk, and the road and the sidewalk all seem to be the same there, don't they?
Yeah, except for this portion there.
Wilton Road looks like it might be a dirt road.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that was paved at that time. And you know, while we're on this shot, realize that it looks exactly the same now as it did then, although those first three buildings have been replaced.
Isn't this the original building?
No, they pulled it apart, they started to repair it, and when they got the siding off, it was aluminum siding just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And the place was just made out of old secondhand lumber, and they couldn't save it. They took it down, but they're all replicas. The old bar had burned, and now the building we've talked about so much, which is now the hotel. So it looks exactly the same. Historically,
Yeah, it looks like it.
just like they were
Looks
very
like it
careful
back.
about that, right?
Look at this one here. Westport
Yeah, that's
Hotel
right.
Square, 1934.
Tom, I don't remember getting there. How did that?
Well, a fella came in the barber shop one day. He was in a hurry. He says, can I see the manager, the owner? And I said, yeah, I'm Tommy. I own the shop. He said, well, I'd like you to have this. He says, my father and my uncle were in this picture. He says, and I thought you could have it. He says, they're passed on since.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get his name, and he just rushed out. And he said, I'll be back, I'll be back. He said, I haven't got time now. But that was the end of the hymn. I never saw him again.
Yeah, you can't give him credit. Yeah, that was 34. That was that's a famous one, and because that's so well recorded.
Well, when the snow was piled up in front of the YMCA and a bunch of us kids
went down with our shovels, and we got paid $1 to shovel snow up into things, and they would dump it in the Saugus River to move it out of the center.
Oh, yeah?
town.
Yeah, and what I also like to think about this picture is that when that snow came, somebody owned that old antique sled and got a horse, and came on downtown.
Probably Gaul.
Yeah, it could have been.
The picture over here, I think that's quite important to look at. This is we talk so much about the trolley cars.
Yeah.
This is the trolley barn it was on Riverside Avenue, and this is where they stored the trolleys.
Wasn't your grandfather's blacksmith shop near there?
Yeah, it was right to the side of this. I think we have a shot of that. And his blacksmith shop sat here, and he shod the horses. Of course, this one now is not a horse-drawn, but when they were horse-drawn, he did he put the shoes on. He called it shodding.
That was the axe factory?
I think it's called a
Bradley Axe Factory.
Yeah, that was a big industry it's that in Weston, I think, just on the borderline. Yeah, I knew an old timer who worked there for a while, and that burned down, I think. As a matter of fact, it is burned down, I think.
Yeah, look at it.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
only
what's
the
left.
side of it.
Yeah.
But that was Weston's big industry at the time. Oh, look at
Hey,
it.
you remember the Compo Inn? Who doesn't remember that? Huh?
Yeah, we all remember
Well,
that.
you old timers, I got a few stories about that place.
Yeah.
Naughty boys.
I think the Compo Inn, if you go back into the early 1900s up into the 50s
Yeah.
even, was a very famous place.
Yeah.
It had quite a history. I can't discuss it openly, but it was a fabulous restaurant, and it was just
I have a story connected with that. Austin Briggs, the illustrator who lived here in town, had a story to do, a mystery story, and it took place in an old furnished room, and so he rented a room, and he and his agent who came up with this camera rented the room, and I was the slain man. So he said, "This is what we have to do. You've been shot, and you're laying across the bed dying now." And I said, "Okay." So he pulled the covers and the bedding down, and I went across it, and he said, "I don't want to see your full face. Sort of mash your face in the mattress." I said, "Austin, if you could smell this mattress, you wouldn't want me to mash my face in it." Anyway, we did, and he took the picture, and it won a prize at the Society of Illustrators the next year.
You know where the location of this was?
Yeah, I do, but you tell.
Well, what's the little road that comes down there? Is that Ludlow Road, corner of Ludlow?
Yeah.
And the Post Road. You come up the hill on the center of Westport.
They have condos there now.
And that sits up on the top of that hill. And this road came right in off the Post Road, right at the corner.
And a woman named Mrs. Levy ran it. She
Yes.
ran a very tough.
Very tough, yes.
Yeah.
Well, this was called the Post Road, but that's Ludlow.
Yeah, Ludlow's here, Post
Yeah.
Road's here, and that's the
Yeah.
road going up
Yeah.
off the Post Road too.
And
That was quite a climb.
It burned too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Talk about inns, that was the Hawthorne Inn right there.
Which one is?
Right here, this one. That was right across the street, I understand.
Yeah, well,
that.
that was on, this inn here was right on the corner of South Compo and right across from this barber shop.
Yeah.
A corner or something.
That's when it was in very good shape. The last I remember was a disreputable old kind of a...
Well, that whole area across the street was this Hawthorne Inn.
Yeah.
It was called Fike's Farm.
Uh-huh.
And he used to deliver milk to my house in a horse and wagon.
It's a beautiful old place, and it was a shame to see how run down it became.
Well,
And look, speaking of the era that overlapped with that, look at the Compo Beach picture above there. I would guess that was in the 20s, and I just wonder whether that little building, I don't know where in Compo that was, but I wonder whether it survived the hurricane, because the hurricane took...
Was that a house someone lived in, Howard?
I can't tell. It was either the
Might have been the old
lifeguards
guardhouse.
or the Red Cross or something like that, something to do with the beach.
Like
Otherwise, it seems a strange place for a private house to be. In any case, all of that foliage in the back there, the trees, I don't know where that came from.
Hey,
Well, you're looking
guys,
at your
come on,
watch.
come on, yeah, I gotta finish your
Okay,
haircut.
I'm ready. I'm only done on one side.
Yeah, well, let's go.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, Tom.
Yeah, let me.
This is taking more time than I thought it would.
Well, that's
I'm
all
sorry.
right, but I've gotta worry about
Yeah.
other haircuts.
Jim, it's a good thing you came by this time. Even though I'm familiar with these pictures, haven't gotten them all originally. you're the one who was here so many years before me and Tom. So that's been good, and your memory's been very fine. You haven't had any senior moments?
Well, I lied a lot. Well,
Any case, you know, it really is just a marvelous collection. And one of the fortunate things was that the color of these walls were what they are, because I don't know whether you noticed it, but all of these prints have been made as sepia prints, not too strong, but they look like rotogravure. They just have that brown tint on, so it makes a very handsome wall. And Tom's always very careful at Christmas time to have just a minimum of decorations here, just some green garlands. Okay, Tom, thank you.
All right,
Well,
Appreciate it.
you know, Howard, the
Yeah.
only reason I come here to this barber shop is because he has
Oh,
pictures.
yeah.
not haircuts.
Yeah, but you know, you're one of,
Well, he did,
you're one of the friends that I hate because you don't have a ball spike. It's a long time.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Howard.
Look, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna go have some lunch, and then I'll come back for my haircut, okay? So-
Lunch?
Well,
It's morning yet.
well, it's
James.
afternoon.
All right.
Thanks
Thanks a lot,
I'll
folks.
be back.
All right.
I'm coming with you, Howard.
Hello, I'm Philip Woodruff, Director of Oral History for the Westport Historical Society. That term, oral history, suggests that we're interested mainly in audio history, and certainly we've done a good deal of audio taping of Westport citizens. But now we're interested in video history, and Tom Ghianuly's barbershop here has provided a wonderful gallery of photographs of old-time Westport. If you haven't seen them, drop in and see them. He'll be glad to make them available to you. We would be interested in hearing from you if you have interest in an interesting project in oral history or in video history. So please get in touch with us. I'd like to thank Howard Munce, James Feeney, Tom Ghianuly for their cooperation in this project. We couldn't have done it without them. And I'd like to thank James Honeycutt too. From Staples High School, he's been first-rate in helping us at every step along the way. And we'll work with Jim on other projects. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again in the future.
Shaking and a breaking and a hanging on the wall. Throw it out the window, catch it before it falls. Shimmy, wobbling all night long. Oh, baby, I'm singing a song. I'm going away. I won't be back till fall. Shaking and a breaking and a hanging